Courtroom 2. Courtroom 2.
Hey, Ms. Falk, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Sergeant Norris. How are you?
Wonderful. I received your email for Ms. Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Did you notice the first page has a different name on it?
I did not. I will resend.
Appreciative.
Of course. Sergeant, I went ahead and sent that. So when Ms. Dennis fills out that first page, you can email it back to me and we'll be ready to go on Ms. Dennis. Thank you.
Is she taking a plea?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Bridgewater. She is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And people do not wait, try to get the person's attention.
All right, we're ready to start.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Judge Regina Mincy, and we're going to begin our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases that have recently been arrested and charged with misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused the cases of the offenses brought against them, and the case has been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judge, so we are able to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, and a possible plea offer if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I want to also provide you with a reset date for SAP.
Which is June the 22nd.
Okay. June 22nd. Also, I want to begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being live streamed on YouTube, live streamed and recorded. So I want to make sure you govern yourselves accordingly. Also, I want to remind the defendants on this calendar that you have certain constitutional rights. The first one being that you have a right to representation, and most of you or all of you should know who your attorneys are at this point. The second right that you have is the right to remain silent. Anything that you state about the facts, the circumstances, and the occurrences of your case can and will be held against you. Govern yourselves accordingly, and please listen to your attorneys. All right, who do we have first?
Good afternoon, Judge Missy. This is going to be position 10, Ms. Roman.
Okay. This is 23 CR 003670G. Andrea Roman Montez, charged with 1 count of theft by taking, offense date December 8th, 2022. Pre-trial.
7 total. Last arrest was in March. 2 counts of obstruction out of Hall County. On probation for felony obstruction and theft by taking out of Hall County. 2021 possession of a firearm by convicted felon arrest. 2017 assault on a public servant conviction. And 2016 possession of a controlled substance conviction.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened June 5th, 2023 at the Clean Juice at 2260 Marietta Boulevard Northwest in Atlanta. The defendant showed up to Clean
Hold on
Juice.
1 second. This is position 10, Roman Montez,
That is correct, Your Honor.
and I have an offense date of December the 8th, 2022.
Let me double check that, Your Honor. It may have just been my cheat sheet was incorrect.
Okay, I understand. I just wanted to make sure we were on the right case because the
Yeah.
case before it has June 8th of 2023. That's why I was making sure.
Understood. Let me
Make
just
sure we're
double
on
check.
tune. Yeah.
Yep, that is not the right case number or the right date on my cheat sheet. That was my apologies, Your Honor.
It's
It's
okay.
just an error on my part. So let me just pull that up.
Okay.
All right, so December 8th, 2022, Officer Presley was dispatched to the Clean Juice at 2260 Marietta Boulevard in respect to a larceny. Officer spoke to Miss Valeria Paredes, who was an employee there. She stated the defendant had started for orientation on Tuesday and was scheduled to work the following day. However, she did not show up or call. Ms. Paredes further stated while she was getting ready for work, she received a phone call about the defendant being at the store. She informed the employees at the store to make Ms. Montez aware, the defendant aware, her services were no longer needed. Ms. Paredes further stated while she was watching a video from inside the store at 8 a.m., she noticed the defendant standing in the back kitchen and then looking on the desk before picking up a key to the safe. She then saw the defendant open the safe, pull out some items and cover them with her jacket and walk out of the kitchen before leaving the store. The officers were able to view the video along with the safe, and Ms. Paredes made the officers aware that checks and cash had been stolen, which included some of the employees' tips and checks, and the total was close to $1,000. At that point, Ms. Paredes sent a group text to the defendant, and her supervisor requested that she return the money. However, the defendant replied as though she were oblivious to the theft. The state's recommendation on this case, Your Honor, is going to be based on the fact that this defendant does have a history. She also has a foreign hold out of Gwinnett County. And we are recommending a $1,000 surety bond at this time. Stay away from Clean Juice at 2260 Marietta Boulevard Northwest, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I would like to also point out that this defendant is a multi-state offender with 6 cycles out of Texas, as well as offenses for theft and financial transaction card fraud. So this is not her first time interacting with the court system. Most recently, she had that June 6th, 2023 theft by taking case out of Hall County, where she received 3 years probation. That's all for the state.
All right. PD Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, Miss Roman Montez. She is 26 years old and she has been here in Georgia for about 5 years. She has a ties to the communities. Her mother resides here. Her mother has been here for 13 years. And Your Honor, she has actually 4 minor children, 11 months, 4, 8, 9 years old, and 2 of them, her mother has a full-time custody. So they live together. She and her mom and her children live together. My client has been in Hall County Jail ever since from January 5, 2023. And then 2 days ago, she was transferred to Fulton County. So she has been serving in jail for last almost 5 months, Your Honor. We would like to request for a signature on bond so she can be transferred to Gwinnett County to take care of the other matters and then go back to her children. She graduated from high school with A's and B's, and she is ready to work and be able to be more productive citizen. She is qualified for public defender services because of her financial hardships. We would like to request for a signature on bond. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to order the $1,000 surety bond. I'm going to order stay away from the clean juice at 2260 Marietta Boulevard Northwest. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I believe that's it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing for the
further,
state,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're done. Go ahead and have.
Thank you.
Position number 6, Jones. Well, there.
This is 23 CR 003662J. Michaela Jones, charged with 1 count of battery family violence. The offense date is June the 8th, 2023. Pretrial.
Second arrest, 2022 ag assault, not presented to grand jury.
Okay. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened at 4041 River Chest Drive Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Malachi Threat was walking with blood on his shirt when officers encountered him. They did speak to the defendant, who stated that Threat punched her, but there were no visible marks that could be observed by the officers. The defendant then changed her statement and said she was actually punched in the back of her head. Mr. Threat, who had injuries, scratches and bruises to his forehead and on the right and left side of his face, told police that he and the defendant were in a verbal argument, and she pushed him and began scratching and punching at his face. He did have injuries that corresponded to his statements, and Mr. Threat and the defendant both share 2 children and live together. When speaking with the officers, they indicated a prior history between the defendant assaulting Threat, which allowed the officers to then determine that the defendant was the primary aggressor. And that is the information that we received from the police report that indicated that there had been previous interactions that the officers had reported out to involving these 2 individuals. The victim advocate had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Threat. He stated that he and the defendant are married, but they are going through a divorce. He stated they do in fact share 2 children, and that a verbal argument began. He was trying to grab his keys and leave. The defendant took his keys and then tried to push him out of the door, where she then hit him. Although all of that has occurred, he stated that he does not want to go forward with this case. We will say, however, he did indicate this is not the first physical altercation between the 2 of them, which is also corresponding to what the officers placed in the report. He further said that there was a previous incident in 2019 or 2020, which corresponds with the defendant's arrest for aggravated assault, which is the only arrest that she has on her history. And we are asking for that reason, based on the fact that there has been previous violent interactions between these two, for a $3,000 surety bond, stay away from 4041 River Chest Drive, Southwest Atlanta, and no further contact with Mr. Malachi Threat. Also, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. If Your Honor would also, if it is up to the court, we would also ask that the defendant be enrolled in one-day anger awareness. Thank you. Nothing further from the state. Oh, we would like to, however, sound for Malachi Threat.
All right, Mr. Malachi Threat. Mr. Threat, I don't think he's on the line. Is this your case, PD Wills?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
Your Honor, I would ask that the court not take in consideration my client's past arrest. That case was dismissed. And so essentially this is her first or second arrest in her life. My client is only 22 years old. She has resided in the state of Georgia for the past 3 years. As it was stated, she is the mother of 2 young children, a 2-year-old and a 9-month-old. She is employed and will not qualify for the services of the public defender's office. My client states that it was actually Mr. Threat who attacked her. He choked her as well as scratched her, and that she called the police. However, she was the one who was arrested because he was the only one who had visible injuries. I would ask that my client be given a signature on bond, and if Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask that her bond not exceed the amount of $2,000. I would also ask for no further violent contact. As it was stated, they are going through a divorce, and they have 2 children that they are attempting to co-parent. I also would like to state, my client states that the incident location is her home, and that Mr. Threat is actually staying somewhere else at this time. So if there is going to be no further contact, I would ask that she be allowed a one-time police escort to determine whether or not Mr. Threat has vacated the premises.
okay. Do we have any information on that at all, Deputy Falk, from the victim witness advocate?
Let me go back and look at the notes. I don't recall our victim advocate indicating that the victim was living at another location, but let me just go back and double check.
Mhm. That may be something in the future to kind of ask when they do talk to them. Sometimes you don't think to find out if that is the case. I see someone signing on. Is that the advocate?
That is Ms. Andrews, Your Honor.
All
Yes,
right.
I'm Ms. Andrews, the victim advocate. When I spoke to Mr. Threat, he did mention that the incident location is her address, and he did provide me a different address separate from that. So I don't believe it will be an issue if he needs to leave the home. I don't think that would be an issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, at this time, we would still ask, like, I would agree with PD Will's assessment that a one-time law enforcement escort to ascertain that Mr. Threat is actually out of the residence and does not reside there before the defendant retakes the residence.
Okay. All right. I will I will order a $2,000 surety bond. I'm going to order a one-time police escort to that property address 4041 River Chest Drive, just to ensure, as we've stated, that Mr. Threat does not reside there any longer. And then, because I'm not going to say it as a stay away, but I guess I could say it either way. Stay away until you have that one-time escort to go back to ensure that the victim is no longer residing there, then she can reside there with her children. The defendant can. I'm going to, since this is still pretty fresh incident, it just happened yesterday, I'm concerned about allowing them so quickly to be around each other. I know that's a tense time when you're going through a divorce. So at this point, I'm going to say no further contact. And if there's going to be visitation allowed with the children, that be facilitated by a third party. But I think right now, to make sure there's been the ample cooling off period, that we will have no further contact right now. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I won't order the anger awareness at this time. I'll hold off on that. Anything else?
Nothing from the.
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right.
Position number 1, Dennis. She's taking a plea.
And Your Honor, I did forward the paperwork to Miss Bridgewater.
And I am in receipt of the paperwork, so we're ready to go ahead.
Great. All right, this is position 1, Janaya Dennis, 23 CR 003666C, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. That offense date is June the 8th, 2023. And Ms. Dennis, is my understanding that you wish to take a plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
And that will be a pro se plea where you will be representing yourself. You understand that?
Yes.
You understand there are consequences to representing yourself, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions after I hear the evidence to make sure that this is free and voluntarily taken by you, and that you understand what you're doing today by accepting and taking this plea, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Pre-trial? Or I
You
can
want the
get you
history for a
Deputy
plea?
Falk. I can, no. Sorry about that. You know, my brain is on a different track. Deputy Falk, go ahead. I'm sorry. And tell me what the plea terms are.
Yes, Your Honor. So this happened at Edgewood Pizza at 476 Edgewood Avenue Northeast. The state's recommendation is 12 months probation, 1 day to serve in jail, credit for time served, release time served. The balance of the probation will be suspended, and the defendant is to stay away from Edgewood Pizza at 476 Edgewood Avenue Northeast. Essentially, the defendant went into that location on June 8th, drank 3 separate alcoholic shots off customers' tables, and that was after she had received a verbal warning not to return to the property. So at that point, she was placed under arrest.
All right. And did you hear those plea terms, Ms. Dennis?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're to stay away from the Edgewood Pizza, and your probation will be suspended. But if you go back there, you will be rearrested and brought back to the Fulton County Jail. And you stay away from Edgewood Pizza?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, let me swear you in. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. The first one being, are you presently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol at this time?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to the presumption of innocence?
Yes, ma'am.
And that you're giving up or waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes, ma'am.
And that you're giving up or waiving the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared to agree to waive and give up these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No.
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, your probation may be affected or revoked because of this guilty plea here today?
Yes.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge that has been brought against you today?
Yes.
And as to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead?
Guilty.
All right. I will accept your guilty plea. You understand your conditions. And that will conclude your case. All right, any questions?
No.
Okay. All right, good luck to you. Thank you.
I didn't have to see. Position number 7, Lipsy.
This is 23 CR 003665G. Marcus Lipsy, is it? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. You're charged of 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, a 2nd count of certain acts on a bus rail station that are prohibited. The offense date is June the 7th, 2023. Pretrial?
Hold on real quick.
Okay.
54 total. Last arrest was in February for shoplifting. Got an open case in Superior Court 22 CP 206390. Crossing guard lines of correctional institution with prohibited items. On probation in Fulton, criminal attempt to commit robbery, 19 SC 171050. He should get off of that probation in August. I got another robbery probation, 16 SC 141859. That should time out in 2025. 2022 probation, 2022 shoplifting conviction, as well as 2021. 1, 2, 3. He got 3 probation violations in the last 4 years. 2019 theft by taking no-low, failure to appear, and a 2014 arson conviction. That's it.
All right. Deputy Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened, see, June 7th, 2023 at the Vine City MARTA station at 502 Road Street, Northwest in Atlanta. The officers initially received a call out. The defendant was wielding a knife at patrons on the MARTA station. When officers went and reviewed the footage on CCTV, they observed the defendant sitting on the edge of the platform beyond the restricted area where trains would normally come in. So at that point, the officers went down to the station floor, made contact with the defendant, and gave verbal commands to him in order for him to get up from that area. The defendant refused to follow their orders. At that point, they went to place him under arrest. The defendant fell to the ground, placed his left hand between the train door floor, holding onto a metal object, and wouldn't let go. So it made it difficult for them to place him under arrest, but they eventually did. This defendant has 54 cycles both in Alabama and Georgia, which means he is, in fact, a multi-state offender. One of his most recent cases was a bench warrant on that 22 CR 529G case for fare evasion, obstruction, criminal trespass, and public drunk. That was at the 5 Points MARTA station in February of 2022. And on that case, he received a $3,000 signature bond from Judge Morrow. Additionally, he has that 21 SC 179139 obstruction, theft by shoplifting conviction in 2021. That attempted armed robbery conviction in 2019, and those 3 probation violations in 4 years. All of that adds up to an individual who, 1, will not show up for court, being that he has an open bench warrant currently, and 2, will not likely follow the directives of the court since he has had 3 probation violations in the last 4 years. The defendant currently has a $2,000 surety bond preset, $1,000 per charge. We're asking that remain as set. He also stay away from the Vine City MARTA at 502 Road Street Northwest, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
All right. PD Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Lipsy is 50 years old, and he was born in Massachusetts, and then he is moved to Georgia. He is residing at his uncle's house. Your Honor, he has odd jobs, working at Gwinnett County three times a week. However, his income is not sufficient, so he's qualified for public defender services. He graduated from high school, and he does have 2 minor children who are twins, and they are 17 years old. He is also He does not understand exactly why he was arrested. He denies the allegation. He was just there using public transportation since he does not have a car. Your Honor, please note that he has no prior felony convictions, even though there are some histories. We would like to request for a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of the history, we would like to request maximum $1,000 for both charges. Thank you.
He got robbery convictions. What do you mean?
Right, I was gonna say the same
does?
thing. He has a 19
Never mind.
SP robbery conviction. Well, attempted robbery, in all fairness.
Yeah.
I would like, Your Honor, I would like to say, first of all, I do
Uh,
not.
uh, 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 uh.
Ma'am,
You have
Mr.
not been
Lipsy.
given permission to speak, no.
Mr. Lipsy, you have a right to remain silent. I strongly recommend you not to say anything
I need to say something. 'Cause they got
unless it is directly related to the bond.
me directly related to that.
This is not a trial of your case,
I understand. I have something to say.
but your attorney doesn't want you to speak, and I'm gonna warn you not to speak.
Okay, but I would like to speak.
Your attorney doesn't want you to.
But there's information that I need to correct that have been spoken by Ms. DC Shelley Falk, and I need to correct that.
Give you 2 seconds and I'm trying to help you. What information would you like to correct?
In my report, there is no indication in the police report that I pulled a knife on anyone.
You're going to the facts of the case.
And I've never
This is not the forum to correct them about the facts. This is
I've never-
not that type of forum. And what you're going to do is end up saying something that's going to make my decision on your bond different.
I
And,
never had an armed robbery case. That's the last thing I want to say. I was in 2015. I think it was charged with a robbery. I've never been charged with an armed robbery.
I think they corrected that, and she said attempted robbery. Think she corrected that.
It's criminal attempt to commit robbery. That's one probation. Another probation is robbery itself. So yeah, it's not armed robbery.
I don't have 2 convictions for that. I have 1 conviction in 2015 for robbery when
I
somebody.
think you need to tread light and not speak
No,
about your criminal history.
No,
It's not helping you.
I'm in jail for nothing right now, y'all. I'm sitting here in front of you for something that I didn't even do. Because
That again is a different forum or different type hearing.
Because I'm being targeted for my complaints and activism against Marta Police, which is one of the more corrupt police forces here. That's why I'm sitting here, not because I did anything, but because I'm being targeted by I stay in Vine City. I was getting off the train.
Can we mute?
3 blocks from the Vine
Your
City
Honor.
train station. That's why I was there. I was just not in the train station for any reason.
Okay. Again, you're going deep into the facts, which I'm not going to do today. And that is not the purpose of this hearing. Is about bond and whether you're going to return to court, whether you deserve a certain amount for your bond today based on your criminal history with 54 cycles.
Yeah, man.
I'm not impressed.
I want to say one thing. This had nothing to do with my case. I would plead with you, if you would, to give me a signature bond that I will come back to court because the conditions that we are being held in and booking and within the jail are inhumane. You have 30-some people in a single cell that's designed for maybe 4 or 5 people. The conditions in the jail are inhumane. I'm concerned for my safety. I am concerned for my life. That's all I've been hearing people talk about, how people been getting stabbed and killed and robbed, and that they're not even getting charged with these crimes. And the draconian, unsanitary conditions that exist in this jail, I feel are a threat to my health, my safety, and my very life. I just wanted to put that on the record.
Okay. All right, I'm going to continue with your $2,000 surety bond. That's $1,000 on each of the charges for a total of $2,000 in surety. I'm going to order that you stay away from Marta. You get out on bond. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. You're not to possess any of those. You get out on bond.
Yes, ma'am, I just want to say, if I become injured.
All right, so that's a $2,000 surety
My
bond.
blood is on the hands of the court.
Okay, all right.
Your Honor, the state would also request of the litigation manager and the clerk's office if the defendant's companion cases, of which there are 3, could also be placed on the next SAP if the defendant is still in custody.
Will do.
Thank you,
All
Ms.
right.
Bridgewater.
You're welcome.
This is position 11, Thompson.
Okay. This is 23 CR 003667 J. Michael Thompson. You're charged with 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, 2nd count of pedestrian must walk on the sidewalk. The offense date is June 7th, 2023. Retrial.
This is 7th arrest. So his last arrest was what, 6 days ago? He got out on the 6th, and I think this happened on the 7th. He was arrested on the 3rd for obstruction, theft by deception, criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor, criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. That's a pretrial case. So,
Excuse me.
yeah. What else? He got an open theft by receiving possession of a pistol by person under 18. That's 22 CP 208631. He got an open trespass in state court. He 2023 failure to appear. 2022 obstruction and criminal trespass. And he went to felony earlier, I think, for burglary. In the 2nd
That
degree.
is correct, Mr. Howard. Burglary in the 1st degree. That case number is 23 CP 219206.
That's it.
All right.
And Your Honor, on that 23 CP 219082, the criminal trespass pedestrian roadway willful obstruction case that Mr. Howard cited to, that the defendant was given a bond on June 5th, a UJR bond with cosigner Ms. Jordan. There was also a special condition that the defendant be prohibited from selling water on the side of the road. That is notable because on this date, June 7th, which was literally the day after he bonded out of jail on that case, he was at 1010 Techwood Drive Northwest in Atlanta selling water on the freeway exit and walking through traffic. The defendant was then stopped by uniformed officers and fled on foot from them, at which point he was stopped and arrested. There is currently a $1,200 surety bond preset on this case. We are requesting that it remain as set, being that less than 2 days have passed since he was bonded out on his previous case with the condition not to do exactly what he was doing on June 7th. We're also asking that he stay away from 1010 Techwood Drive Northwest. And we're going to re-ask for the condition that he be prohibited from selling water on the side of the road.
All
That's
right.
for the state, Your Honor.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, his mother is here to support. Well, he is only 18 years old, and Your Honor, I was hoping that he would not come back because I was representing him on May 29. He does, but he's here. He couldn't complete his high school. He had to leave when he was around 11th grade because of his first child, who was born about 6 months ago. And he has been working really hard to try to pay for his new son and his living together girlfriend. He has a job at the restaurant now. However, he cannot start his job since he's incarcerated again, and his income is not stable, so he's qualified for public defender's services. I would like to have a moment for his mother to actually speak, so that because she's willing to co-sign again, driver's license with a lease. We would like to request for signature on bond since he already has a felony charges that he has to take care of as
There's
well.
no bond on the felony, so he ain't gonna.
Yeah. So even though he gets his signature on bond, he's not going anywhere.
And I wasn't for sure why you were stating he needed a cosigner today, if I were inclined, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
that's,
Because he's
well,
18, so I don't know that he would, but
The- pretrial, if we go through the pretrial requested that there would be a co-signer.
and
It
who
seems
is
like-
his mother?
Latasha, she was here.
I'm
She
still
was
here. Here, Your Honor. Tasha Jordan. It's Tasha J on the Zoom.
It's Natasha Jordan. It's Natasha.
My apologies, Miss Jordan. That was the name on the cosigner information.
Yeah,
on the
that's
bottom.
just how it is on the Zoom. I don't know why, but it's supposed to be Natasha Jordan.
All right, Miss Jordan, I generally, at this point, by having mom to tell me some things, I don't know that it's going to change my opinion. Hold on. I don't know if it's
Okay.
going to change my opinion. Usually this forum is for the victims of the alleged incident to
Mhm.
speak to me about it. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes or less. I'm not for sure what you're going to tell me that's going to change my mind, but I will do that because I see that you have been waiting. If you want to make a quick statement, I'll let you do that, but I'll swear you in first. Raise your right
Okay.
hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, put your hand down. What would you like to state?
I just want to say Gary's 18. Gary, I feel like he needs some guidance. His dad's not around. He's actually gone, deceased. It's a lot carrying on as a single mother. I have 5 kids. Gary's the oldest out of all 5. So I have 5 different personalities and I work a 12-hour job per week. I can't watch Gary. He's 18. I can't watch him. I can't babysit him. I feel like he's growing into a young man that needs to better himself as a young man. I want him to go to school, finish school. I feel like that should be a requirement instead of me just telling him that, because by me telling him it's not working. I feel like he should be ordered to go to school or finish school. I also feel like, he has a job. The manager called today, working at Hoops, but I told him the situation, what's going on. So I don't know if the job will still be there when he get home. But I can honestly tell you, Judge, I can't babysit. I don't know what he does all day, every day. I just know he has to take care of his son because I'm not going to do it. I'm being honest. I'm not going to do it. That's your responsibility. And anything that comes with you is your responsibility. But I'm your mother, so I'm always have your back. I'm not going to neglect you or take, but I just feel like he needs some guidance, male guidance. He don't have discipline. You tell him one thing, and then just like you guys, I agree with you guys, but that's my son. At the end of the day, you go right back and do the same thing. That's just it doesn't look good. It doesn't make you look good, and it's like it makes you like you making me look like a bad mother when I'm doing the best I can raising you as my son, but I can't keep up with you 24/7. So I want him home, but I want him to do better as well too. So he's supposed to be. He has a recruiter for the military, but he can't do any of that until he has this court things going on first. And they can't speak for him until he gets majority of his court situations completed before he's able to get, inside, if that's, an option again, as far as what we got going on right now.
Well, it's a lot going on. So, and I'm glad he at least knows that you're trying to support him, but he's got to make up his mind that he's going to not have any cases in the Fulton County Courthouse. And I think he's a little bit beyond that, but I hope that he can turn things around. And I do thank you for your time, Ms. Jordan, because I do know that you are busy and have a lot on your plate as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I am going to give my ruling.
Thank you for listening, Judge.
Okay, you're welcome. You can go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay.
I'm going to continue with this $1,200 surety bond. And I am going to order a stay away from 1010 Techwood Drive. And I'm going to order that you are prohibited Mr. Thompson from selling water on the side of the road anywhere in the county. And so I don't want you to sell it at Techwood, don't want you to sell it at Edgewood, anywhere. So you cannot sell water on the side of the road at all.
Judge,
Also,
will you break that bond down, please?
oh, I'm sorry,
The charges.
with the 1,200, I believe that it would be 1,000 on the obstruction and 200 on the pedestrian. Is that the breakdown? I did not hear it earlier, Deputy Falk.
And my apologies, Your Honor. The breakdown is actually 600 per charge, and that was already a preset bond.
Okay, I'm sorry, 600 per charge, preset. So I'll leave it as preset. I'm gonna also add to the conditions, Mr. Thompson, that you either, if you're able, to re-enroll in school, if not, study and get your GED, because you're going to need it for success in any type of lifestyle that you may choose. So if not, if you can't get back into school, then you need to get your GED once you're out. You may be able to do it while you're there, I don't know. So those are going to be, oh, and one other condition, it's no alcohol, drugs, weapons, or guns of any sort while you're on bond. And I think that's it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further. The only request the state would make is that if the litigation manager could put the companion case listed on the calendar, on the SAP calendar for June 22nd, in case the defendant is still in custody.
Again, will do.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, Ms. Jordan.
Position number 3, Golson. Gosselin.
This is 23 CR 003661Y. Christopher Goslin, you're charged with 1 count of driving hit and run and a 2nd count of driving improper erratic lane change. The offense date is June 3rd, 2023. Pre-trial.
Second arrest, 2021 DUI conviction. That's it.
Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened June 3rd, 2023 at 3177 Peachtree Road. Officers spoke with Jordan Reeves, who stated he was driving on Peachtree Road and was struck on the right side by a yellow and black Camaro, which then drove away. After being struck, the Camaro's front bumper and left tire had come off of the vehicle. So according to Mr. Reeves, when he spoke to police, he didn't believe the car could have gotten that far without a left front tire. Mr. Reeves at the time was suffering from back pain due to the accident, but did not need medical attention at the scene. Officers then checked the citywide camera system and did see that yellow and black Camaro about 150 feet away from the accident location. They were then later that evening dispatched to Camden Buckhead Apartments, where the security guard advised there was a yellow and black Camaro that he had seen that he believed to have been the one involved in the hit and run accident. Mr. Gallen, the security guard who called police, stated that he saw a yellow and black Camaro with damage to the left front side and a missing tire, and saw a black male, later identified as the defendant, exiting the car, grabbing his shoulder and entering into the Camden Buckhead Apartments. On his way inside, the defendant dropped his wallet, which Mr. Gallen recovered and turned into the concierge. The officers were able to see the defendant's driver's license in that wallet, and Mr. Gallen, the security guard, positively identified the male on the license as the same person that he saw exiting the Camaro and going inside the building. The location of the Camaro was located at Camden Buckhead was approximately 0.7 miles from the accident location. In addition to that DUI conviction from May of 2022, this defendant has a driving without a valid license conviction on his driving history from February of 2022, as well as a December 27, 2019 DUI ALS conviction. So there is some indication here that this defendant is not the best driver, and may have been engaged in, at least in his history, has activities that would point to abuse of drugs and alcohol and driving. For that reason, the state recommends a $4,500 surety bond. That's going to be a $4,000 surety bond on the hit and run and a $500 surety bond on improper lane change. The reality is somebody could have gotten seriously hurt here. The defendant lost a tire in this accident and struck another person's vehicle, who then suffered from back pain as a result of his actions and then drove away. Had he not lost a tire in the process, they would have had much more of a difficulty locating him. The state is also asking that this defendant not drive unless it is to work, school, his lawyer, or medical appointments, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. That's all for the state.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just
PD
in case,
oh,
I would like, oh, my apologies, I did not mean to interrupt. Just in
Go
case, I
ahead.
would like to sound for Mr. Reeves in case he is here.
Okay. Mr. Reeves, Jordan Reeves. Jordan Reeves. Okay, I see a Jordan Robinson, but I don't believe that's the same person. All right, PD Wills.
Thank you, Judge. The reality of the situation is that no one was seriously injured. This is a hit and run case. I would argue that a $4,500 surety bond would be punitive. In a case like this, my client is 23 years old. He has resided in the state of Georgia for the past 18 years. He is employed as a professional soccer player. He also owns his own business, Dominion Carriers LLC. He will not qualify to be represented by the Public Defender's Office. I would ask for a signature bond or the lowest bond that Your Honor is willing to set in this case. Thank you.
How old did you say he was again?
He is 23.
And he has his own business, which is the Dominion Carriers.
Yes, Your Honor. He plays soccer professionally. However, he is not signed at this time. And he also owns his own trucking business, which is Dominion Carriers LLC.
Okay. All right, I'm going to enter the $4,500 surety bond, 4,000 on the driving, hit and run, 500 on the improper lane change. I'm going to order no driving unless he's going to work, school, or seeking medical attention, or to see his attorney, or for court dates, I guess, visiting his attorney and or for court. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I did not hear any stay away request or contact request, right? Nothing of
Here-
that sort.
At this time, we are not requesting a no further contact. I do not believe these parties know each other at all.
Okay. All right. So that'll be the ruling of the court. If there's nothing else. Okay.
Position 9, Perez.
And Your Honor, Mr. Perez has a co-defendant, which is going to be just position 8.
Okay. All right, so we'll hear those back to back if we can, deputies. Mr. is it Mazik? All right, this is case number 23 CR 003668D Gustavo Perez, charged with 1 count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement order or officer, sorry. 2nd count of loitering or prowling. The offense date is June the 8th, 2023, pretrial.
6 total. Last arrest was in May for obstruction, possession of meth and drug-related objects. 23 CP 218178. 2019 trespass. His other arrests were dismissed.
All right, Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. The facts I'm about to give are to both of these defendants. This happened June 8th, 2023 at 903 Roswell Creek Lane, which are the Roswell Creek apartments. The officers were doing foot patrol around the area of buildings 801 and 803 in response to an anonymous call that drugs were being sold in front of that building. Officers continued around the building, and when they walked around apartment 803J, they could hear people talking inside. Officers then opened the door of the vacant apartment and saw defendant Perez walking out. Officers told defendant Perez to stop, and he began backing away from the officer. And then the officer saw defendant Mazik behind him. At that point, defendant Mazik began running around to the back of the vacant apartment, and he was ordered to the ground. Officers also pursued defendant Perez to the back of the apartment and were able to arrest and apprehend him. After arrest, officers located a glass pipe commonly used for smoking drugs in defendant Mazik's possession. And defendant Perez was finally apprehended when he was found clinging to the side of a creek bed, asking for assistance in the wood line. As far as defendant Perez is concerned, he currently has a $1,000 preset surety bond. The defendant has those 5 cycles, that 2019 criminal trespass, and he was just released on a UJR bond on May 3rd, 2023 on that possession of meth, possession of drug objects, with a condition of random drug screens and no drugs without a legal prescription. The state's recommendation is that the $1,000 surety bond remain as set, which is going to be $500 per count, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no drugs without a prescription, and no further contact with defendant Mazik. That's all for the state.
All right.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Marie McLeod. For
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
My client is 26 years old, Your Honor. Based on what pretrial stated, he has had some arrests, but he doesn't have any convictions, I believe, except one for trespass. My client tells me that he has struggled for some time with drugs, and as a result of that, he is currently homeless and has been homeless for the past 2 years. He was just at this particular location, just for shelter. He denies that he was actually using drugs or in possession of any drugs at the time when the officers showed up. My client is in no position to post bond, Your Honor. So I would ask that, based on his limited criminal history, the court give him a signature bond so that he can get out of jail. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to continue the $1,000 surety bond. That's $500 on each of the charges. I'm going to order a stay away from the Roswell Creek apartment. I'm going to order no further contact with the co-defendant, in this case, Justin Mazik. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that's it. Anything else, counsel or Deputy Falk?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Yeah.
All right.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
You may. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Judge. Same to you.
All right.
Judge, did you say it was $1,000 good bond for the total?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Mhm.
Next, we have position number 8, Mr. Mazik.
All right, this is 23 CR 003671D, Justin Mazik. Charged at 1 count of loitering or prowling, 2nd count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and 3rd count of possession and use of drug-related objects. Offensive date is June the 8th, 2023. Pretrial.
Second arrest, he was arrested last month for trespass. That's open in state court, 23 CR 00374D. He got an open superior court case. I gotta see what the bond was. Possession of a controlled substance and drug-related objects. 23 CP 217151. That's it.
All right. Deputy Phillip.
Your Honor, on that case, he was released on a UJR he was given a UJR on May 24th, 2023 with a condition of no drugs without a legal prescription. He does currently have a warrant for an FTA on that case that was issued May of 2023. So we do have, again, an FTA in less than 90 days after his last arrest. He is in court again for a new case. You've already heard the facts of this case, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond. That's going to be $500 per count. There was already a $500 preset surety bond on the possession of drug objects only. We are also asking for a stay away from the Roswell Creek apartments, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no further contact with defendant Perez. That's all for the state.
All right. PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Mazik is 25 years old, Your Honor. He was born in New Jersey, and he was waiting for his mother to pick up to go back home in Florida so he can stay with his mother and get his life all together better. Well, he has his sister here in Georgia. He does have some ties, and he does have support. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet understanding the fact that this is another case that is similar to the previous one, we are okay with $1,500 good bond. Thanks, Your Honor. His mother is here to support him.
What's his mother's name?
Giselle McCray, Miss Giselle McCray.
All right, Ms. McCray, do you wish to address the court today?
Please.
All right, if you've heard my speech, I will give you about 5 minutes. I'm assuming you were not at the scene of the accident. Or at the scene of the incident, should I say. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth and the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What would you like to tell me?
I would like to say that my son is a good kid. He's never been in trouble. We came here from Florida due to my grandson's health issues, and me and him, we're all we have. Upon coming here, he started hanging with the wrong people, and he's got involved with drugs, and my son needs some help. That's just the bottom line. He needs some help because he is no longer the son that I know. And I don't know what to do to try to get him some help because this is not him. So that's all I just have to say. I keep praying and hoping that he turns his life, and I've tried to bring him in and get him right, but I don't know. I feel like the drugs have a hold of him. That's all, ma'am.
All right. Is he working?
Am I working?
No, your son.
Oh, is he? No, he's not working. He's like been in the woods and things like that. He doesn't come from that. So I don't really understand the whole drug cycle, but I just know that it has him. And he chooses to live in the woods rather than be in the room with me, and just the choices he's making. And I know I've seen him try to get clean, but the aches and pains, I guess, I don't really understand it, but I just know he needs some help.
Okay. All right, I'm going to order the $1,500 surety bond, $500 on each of the charges. I'm going to order a stay away from the Roswell Creek apartment. I'm going to order no further contact with the co-defendant, Gustavo Perez, no further contact with him. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And at this point, I could order some other things, but I won't. I will let that happen at a later time. And hopefully get some help regarding the drugs, but it's not able at this point to order much more than what I have. I could order him to get into a drug treatment program, but again, I will kind of wait till the case progresses a little more rather than ordering that at this time. But your son has heard you and he's heard me, so hopefully he will get him some help if he gets out on bond. Good luck to you.
Your Honor, there is a companion case on this 23 CR 003374D. We are requesting that this be placed on SAP along with this case in case the defendant is not released.
Okay.
Will do.
Position 2, fees.
This 23 CR 003663F. And is that Feast is the last name? You're charged with 1 count of theft by taking. Offense date June 8th, 2023, pre-trial.
10th arrest, last was in February. Theft by taking, hindering emergency call. That's open in Gwinnett. 2019 shoplifting Nolo. 2016 battery conviction. That's it.
Your Honor,
Stay.
this is just jumping right in. I apologize, Your Honor.
Okay.
This incident happened, it looks like June 8th, 2023 at 168 Lucky Street, which is Skyview. The officer was dispatched to that location after being alerted of a theft from a building. Upon arrival, the officer spoke with the person at that location, and the defendant happened to be the janitor at that location, and he stole a Microsoft tablet from the business while cleaning up inside. Prior to leaving his shift, the tablet was turned off and left in the office. And when the employee, who I believe is here in the Zoom, Mr. Michael Montgomery, returned to work, the tablet was nowhere to be found. They decided to check the camera system in the building and the surveillance camera, and they saw the defendant placing in his brown backpack and leaving the premises with that tablet. The officer then spoke to the defendant and asked him where he took the tablet, and the defendant advised he did not. However, again, that was captured on the surveillance video. Mr. Montgomery, who is here in the courtroom, is the general manager at that location and is therefore the victim representing Skyview. We would ask that the court sound for him. I will point out that this defendant does have a history out of Texas, so he is a multi-state offender. And we ask that the $1,500 surety bond that's set on this case remain the same, that the defendant stay away from the location of Skyview at 168 Lucky Street and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Again, Mr. Montgomery is here on the Zoom.
All right, Mr. Michael Montgomery. You can be, there you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, how are you today?
Not too bad.
All right, do you wish to address the court today?
Only if you have questions for me. We're compiling all the video for the officer that responded. Disappointed in the young man because we offered him an opportunity. And there's a couple of things that I do not like, and it's thieves and liars. And to boldface say that he didn't take it when the video clearly shows that it was in his bag is, upsetting to me. But I feel that the restitution, if he would just give the laptop back to the location, then I would be over and done with this and let him continue on his way.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. PD Wills.
Thank you. First, I would like to object to the facts not in evidence also that were presented by Mr. Montgomery. He was not sworn in. He was not sworn in, and I am not privy to the information that he provided at this juncture. Mr. Feast is 45 years old. He was previously employed by Skyview as a technician. He also reports that he is a current student at Strayer in business management. He does have 3 children who are currently in the care of his family members. He is unable to afford the $1,500 bond as it is currently set. My client does deny the allegations. He has already lost his job at this juncture, Your Honor. I would just request a signature bond or a reduction in bond so that he can get home, take care of his children. They are ages 7, 9, and 12, and start his quest for seeking new employment.
And Your Honor, we understand PD's Will's objection. We would ask the court to swear in Mr. Montgomery and have him repeat his statement so that he would be a sworn witness.
All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Montgomery. Unmute yourself again, please.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me swear you in. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
And I apologize, I did not swear you in first. So if you don't mind repeating what you stated to me before, I would be greatly appreciative.
I'll try to remember verbatim. The incident was brought to my attention about the laptop, the Microsoft tablet was missing. And we went back to review the video surveillance on it. The video surveillance shows Mr. Feast picking up the bag that the tablet laptop was in, and then setting it down, which was in full view of the camera. He then picked up the case again, unzipped it, looked inside of it, turned away from the camera, and then knelt down in front of a cabinet that we store a lot of our porter supplies in. And then you could see motion, and in his right hand, he pulled back, and you can see the power cord for the laptop. And from that point, he had moved that bag around 2 or 3 times, and I watched the entire footage showing the last place that he put it. No one touched it or went into that location until the issue was brought up that it was missing.
Okay.
And then when he was leaving at the end of his shift, he pulled his backpack out of the cabinet, set it on the countertop right underneath the camera, unzipped it to put in, it looked like a Tupperware bowl, an empty Tupperware bowl. And when he did that, there was another staff member in that room, but he kind of had, the staff member was to his back. But when he opened up the backpack, you could see the laptop or tablet in his backpack when he was putting the bowl in his bag.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any cross-examination, Deputy Falk?
No, thank you. I feel that Mr. Montgomery was quite thorough. Thank you, Mr. Montgomery.
Any
No problem, ma'am.
cross-examination, PD Wills?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. There's nothing else. I'll go ahead and give my ruling. I'm going to order a $1,500 surety bond. I'm going to order a stay away from 168 Lucky Street, the Skyview. And I'm going to order that if Mr. Feast still has the item as alleged, the Microsoft tablet or laptop that the victim speaks of, if he could return that, that would be most appreciative. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I did not hear anything about any future contact. I don't know if Mr. Feast wants that or not. He has to stay away from the property or premises, and that should be sufficient unless Mr. Montgomery wants any other protection in the order that he stay away from you. I'll leave that up to the victim.
Your Honor, may I inquire with Mr. Montgomery?
Mhm.
Mr. Montgomery, do you want a specific no further contact with you, or are you satisfied with this stay away from the location?
I'm satisfied with the stay away from the location.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then I don't know what kind of provisions that should he change his mind about returning the item. Just whatever channels that happens to go through.
Do you want me to add anything else in that bond order, if he decides to return it, if he has it, to turn it into the sheriff's department, or what would you like in the language with that, Deputy Falk? We put that in there.
I would ask that he return it to the sheriff, he turn it into the sheriff's office instead of making contact directly with Mr. Montgomery or the company.
And Your
Right.
Honor, I would object to that being a provision at all. That could potentially violate his Fifth Amendment right to incriminate himself. So, and he has the right to a defense. So I would object to that being part of the bond order at this juncture.
Okay, I'm going to leave it as, and so noted, PD Wills, I'm going to leave it as part of the bond order that if and it's an if the defendant has knowledge of or knows where this item is, that he or someone else can turn it into the sheriff's department. And they will so note if that is a possibility. All right, thank you. All right, that will be nothing else. Thank you, Mr. Montgomery, for your time.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position 5, Horn.
Your Honor, just to let the court know before you announce Mr. Horn's case, position 4, Demetric Hinnant bonded out.
Okay. Thank you for that update. This is 23 CR 003664G, Eric Horn, charge of 1 count of water prowling. The offense date is June 7th, 2023, pretrial.
Fourth arrest. Last arrest was in January. A violation of State Firearm Act out of Alabama. That appears to be open. 2022, he had a weapons offense arrest. 2019, assault 3rd degree.
Okay, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened at Techwood Drive near Bobby Dodd Way on June 7th, 2023. The officers arrived after being dispatched to a bicycle theft that was being committed. The person who called in described that the defendant was standing near the bike rack in the fire lane wearing a black mask and was tampering with the locks. They also stated he was holding a brick. When officers arrived, they observed the defendant, whose appearance matched the caller's description, for specifically a red satchel that the defendant was wearing. The defendant was standing near the bike rack with a black mask covering his face and holding a lighter. The officers did look at the bike lock and were able to observe that part of it had been melted as though by use of fire. We would state that this defendant is a multi-state offender out of Alabama. As the pretrial has said, his most recent offense is in January of 2023, which indicates that he does not have sufficient ties with Georgia and may prove to be a flight risk. This defendant currently has a $600 surety bond on this count. We ask that that bond remain as set, stay away from that location at Techwood Drive near Bobby Dodd Way, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
And what was the recommendation on the bond?
He has a $600 surety bond already preset on this case. We ask that it remain the same.
Okay. All right, PD Wills.
Thank you, Judge. My client is 22 years old. He is currently struggling with, he is currently residentially challenged in some ways. He is participating in the Gateway program currently. That is his current address. He has resided in the state of Georgia for the past few years, and he is unable to make his $600 surety bond. I would ask for a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for a reduction in his bond. And I've spoken with my client about not returning back to the premises in the incident location.
All right, I will order a $500 surety bond. I'm going to order a stay away from that area of Techwood Drive and Bobby Dodd Way. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I think that'll be it. Anything else, council?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
Okay.
No, okay. Hey, let me get that paperwork. Let me get the cards.
Burning up old stuff. All right, you're done. Go ahead and have a seat for me in the second row. Judge, I do have a quick announcement
Yes.
for position number 12. They waived their appearance. And also position 4 paid their bond.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You do the same.
Okay. Now we'll do position 12. This is 23 CR 003646Y, Kenneth Truitt, charged with one count of giving false information to a law enforcement officer and a second count of giving a false name, address, or birth date. Offense date June 6, 2023.
36 total. Last arrest was March. Probation. 2022 trespass, giving false name, no low. She had a couple of 2022 probations. 2021 trespass, 2020 trespass, giving false name, no low. 2015 parole violation. 2015 trespass conviction. 2013 possession of cocaine conviction. That's it.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. The officers in this case responded to 3000 Hospital Boulevard and spoke with officers at that location in regards to a patient in the hospital. It was alleged the defendant was in the bathroom smoking cocaine and destroying property. The defendant then destroyed the toilet by flushing a lighter down the toilet. When officers arrived, nursing staff advised that the defendant's name was Brandon Smith and his date of birth was December 8th of 1986. The officer could not find a person with that name or date of birth. The defendant then told the officer that the spelling of Brandon was wrong and that he didn't have a driver's license. The officer still couldn't find the defendant under that name and finally had to utilize the fingerprint scanner, which showed the defendant as Kenneth Truitt. The bond currently set on this defendant's case is a $1,500 surety bond. This defendant has 36 cycles, and I just want to note he's only 37 years of age. So literally it's almost a cycle a year. I will say that we are concerned regarding whether a BHET or an MHET would be warranted in this case. We are agreeable to reducing the charge of giving the $1,500 surety bond to a let me just check one thing, Your Honor, just really quickly. Just want to check the accusation and see if there's more than one count. Okay, so there are alternative counts, Your Honor, in this case, one for the date of birth and one for the name. The state is agreeable to a $500 surety bond. That's going to be $250 on each count. We would recommend a BHET at the very least, and we are going to ask for a stay away from 3000 Hospital Boulevard unless there is a medical emergency. That is going to be in Roswell, Georgia, at North Fulton Hospital. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
PDPN?
Yes, Mr. Truitt is 37 years old, and we would like to request for a signature on bond so he can get out and move forward with his life that he's trying to build up. That's all we can say, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order the $500 surety bond, $250 on each charge. I'm going to order a BHET. I'm going to order stay away from the North Fulton Hospital, which is I think you said 3000 Hospital Drive.
3000 Hospital Boulevard in Roswell, Georgia.
Hospital Boulevard, sorry, in Roswell, Georgia. I'm going to, with that stay away from that location. He can only return if he needs to receive emergency medical services. Otherwise, stay away. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, weapons, or guns while on bond. And I believe that's it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing.
The bond amount?
Bond amount is $500, $250 on each surety. All right. If that's it, that concludes this case and that concludes the calendar, correct?
Yes,
That's
Your
correct.
Honor.
If we're ready to go over the calendar, let's
Yes,
do it.
ma'am.
Okay. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be June the 22nd. Position number 1 took a plea. Position number 2 is reset to the SAP calendar with a $1,500 good bond. Position 3 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $4,500 good bond. Position number 4 is reset further notice as the defendant has been released. Position 5, SAP calendar with a $500 good bond. Position 6, SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Position 7 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond, and the other cases will be placed on the SAP calendar with this case. Position 8 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,500 good bond. And the same thing goes for this. His other cases will be on the SAP calendar as well. Position 9 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 total good bond. Position 10, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 11, reset to the SAP calendar with a total $1,200 good bond. And again, his other case will be placed on that calendar as well. And position 12 is reset to the SAP calendar with a total $500 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Nope, think you got it.
Okay, that's it.
All right.
Everybody have a great weekend.
Everybody have a good weekend. All right.
Your Honor,
Bye-bye.
if I may, I would like to introduce you to our new attorneys and interns who will be joining us for the next few weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, that was one of the other names I think I saw on there earlier.
You
Okay.
saw several names. So
I saw quite a few.
we have Jordan Robinson and Grace Chung. They are here under the Third Year Practice Act. They will be with us for the next 2 and 3 weeks, as well as Ashley Stafford, Wenda James, and Mr. John Eggers. Those 3 attorneys will be working with us for the next few weeks as well before they move on to the trial line.
Oh, wow. They're going to move you to the trial line. So you are going to get some great summer experience. So good luck to all of you.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Soak it all in.
Yes,
Here
indeed.
comes
Good luck to
the
each of you.
real life of practice, right? Good to have you all aboard. Good
Thank
luck
you all
to
very much.
All right.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.
All right. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.